Welcome back to the Daily Grind, where we talk Grizzlies every single day, right here now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right after lunch. Let's talk about trades. We're going to be talking about trades in our shows. We'll do one trade a day. What we think about it, if it would be a good idea, if it's crazy, if it would happen, all that kind of stuff. So there was a trade that got kind of I wouldn't say leaked, but put out by. This was a Bobby Marks article about the Cavs sending Damian Jones and 2 seconds for Xavier Tillman. First off, what are your thoughts on the trade? And would you do it?
So, yes, I would do it.
Not with the team. I mean, would Luke do it? Not with the team. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Would the teams do it? Why they would do it? But would Luke do it?
Luke would do it. Just because I don't, as much as I love X, Luke doesn't see him in the long term. He's not a long term answer on this team, Luke also knows about, we both love the CBA, we both love contracts. I know that we're probably not going to, I know that I'm not going to extend him, probably, being honest. And so thus, if I can recoup some draft assets, Luke would do it. But I don't know.
I will drive him to Cleveland myself. He can ride with me. I don't mind. I won't even
ride with you.
For a flight. I won't even make him pay for a flight. Look, I mean, I love X as well, but like you said, this is just a situation where it's just a contractual thing. It's not even like a
yes.
It's not even a is he bad player versus the good player. I mean, the Damian Jones is a throw-in salary, right? That's not even like a Damian Jones is barely playing for the Cavs. He's whatever. He's a journeyman. He's not a real good NBA player.
No,
he probably gets waived. Honestly,
yeah.
If that were to happen, he probably doesn't even stay here in Memphis. He probably gets waived and he gets sent somewhere else or he gets signed somewhere else. You're really only doing this for the picks.
Yes.
This is just a situation contractually where, the Grizzlies are not going to extend Xavier Tillman. They're not going to have the money for him. He's not going to be back. And so if you can get something for an expiring contract, you do it. Even if that is 2 seconds. And I know a lot of people, but 2 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but that leads me to our segue of Statty Sean today. And I'm going to throw it up. Let's talk about Statty Sean coming in hot with about this particular trade. And this is Zach Kleiman's uses of second rounders on draft night since 2019. They've used second rounders to get Brandon Clark, Desmond Bane, Santi Aldama, also used to trade and select Xavier Tillman, Kennedy Chandler, Vince, Gigi Jackson. So 2 seconds in the hands of Zach Kleiman is pretty powerful.
Gold.
I mean, he as much as we've talked about this year, the missing on certain first rounders, they do a really good job of selecting second round picks and in terms of players or using those picks to get people. So I would trust this front office with second round picks. So I think that's about as much as you're going to get for Xavier Tillman anyway. I don't see you getting a high value for Xavier Tillman. Do you?
No, and it's like, is Xavier Tillman the better player? Yeah. I mean, I would argue, I would say yes, but like, we're not going to get, we're not going to get anything, or I don't see us getting a better offer than 2 second rounders. And doing the math there, odds are just math. One of those second rounders is going to hit and be a real role player. Like just the way that Kleiman drafts, one of those 2 second rounders, if they get it, is going to hit. If anything else, you're just going to be replacing X with the next X. And it sucks. Yeah, it sucks, but it's a business. It's a business, and we're trying to win a championship.
That being said, I would do it. You would do it. I think the Grizzlies would do it. Don't you?
Yes, because it seems like the kind of around the fringes, moves that they are known to do around the deadline, to be perfectly honest. Like, do you remember, I don't remember who it was, a couple Jarrett Culver was the prize a few years ago after it was move after move after move after move after move, and all we got was him. You know, that just it seems more in line with the Grizzlies' manner of doing business, if you ask me.
Right.
I don't know if that's not necessarily how we like it to be, but that's how they do it.
Yeah. I think my biggest question would be, is Cleveland doing it? And that's where I have some pause.
Same. I'm right there with you. I'm in lockstep with you there because they've got a good. I just looking at their roster. I don't know where does he play?
Exactly. And I think this, if anything, if Cleveland were to do it, if anything, this is just an insurance policy. And I don't think X gets on the court. I'll be honest with you. I just don't know if he gets a lot of minutes there. He's their fifth big, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where he slots in anyway, as maybe your fourth big on an NBA team. And I think out of all people, I think Cleveland will be the one that had the biggest pause of why I would do this, only because are their assets better used somewhere else? You know, they got a lot of guards are hurt right now for them. Is there's, you know, they're a good team. They're fourth in the Eastern Conference. They're 24-15. They clearly have, I mean, they're making the postseason. Yeah. They are, their goal is to win a championship. The Grizzlies' goal is obviously that's gone. But that is a reality that the Cleveland can try to do. Is that the best use of their assets for them? I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Now, them making the move might signal that they're willing to move on from some of these other bigs, you know, like they're winning without Mobley, you know. I don't know if, you know, maybe them getting other big signals that they're willing to move on from Jared Allen, who's playing fucking awesome. Or, you know, move on from Mobley. I wouldn't move on from, I mean, I wouldn't do either of those things. I think both those dudes are pretty good. Definitely better than X, but like they're playing this well without Mobley on the court. Maybe this signals that they're like shopping him around. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the other part of that about X, and he's obviously very unique player in the sense if you're going to give up second round picks for Xavier Tillman, your expectation is, I guess, you think that you're going to re-sign him, right? You know, it's not like a situation where you're going to give up second round picks as a rental for someone like X. No offense to Xavier Tillman, but that doesn't happen. Kind of and so, you know, just looking at their cap sheet, you know, like they would have to take, I mean, they would have his bird rights. You know, they would have his bird rights, so they could go over the cap to re-sign him if they wanted to. Yeah. So they'd have that option too. Whoever trades for X would have his bird rights. You know, it would be a very small cap hold. You know, like his cap hold would be like less than almost like around $1 million, like almost nothing. And
it's nothing.
If you don't know anything about cap holds, it's just how it affects your spending in the summer. We're not going to get into cap holds, but it's small.
It's very small with the cap going up. That is nothing.
Yeah. I mean, they've got, you know, Tristan Thompson's coming off the books this year. They've got Damian Jones coming off the books this year. They got Isaac Okoro as a restricted free agent, which they'll re-sign him.
But like D Wade's playing really well for them. George Nang's playing, like they got dudes that are playing really well.
And they still got Jared Allen for 2 more years at $20 million. I mean, they got a lot of money tied up into Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, and Max Strus. I mean, all those dudes make above $15 million a year.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And so, you know, that would be what I think would be the sticking point, is that I think the Cavs, I think their assets may be better used in a different scenario.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It really does depend on what they're doing, which is like the understatement of the year. But like, because I don't know if many people saw them playing this well without their 2 of their stars out, you know, and it's what they decide to do. They're one of the teams that I think is really intriguing to keep an eye on. Not that I'm expecting them to be either a buyer or a seller, but what they decide to do will be indicative of a couple things. And that might be some dominoes for the whole league, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're right. I mean, I think that they are not where they thought they were going to be, and it's a little difficult for teams to be in that position where you find yourself in a position in the middle of the year, the trade deadline, where you're playing much better than you thought you were, but you also don't necessarily think you got the pieces to make it make a championship run. It's a little like the Grizzlies the past couple of years. Remember that first year with John Morant, you find yourself in the playoffs, you don't really know what to do because you got good players, but at the same time, like it's not exactly a one way. It's not like, it's not like the Lakers where you know what your goal is and you're a few pieces short. You got to be a buyer, right? And versus or just like the Grizzlies, this year is a gap year. You have a multitude of wings. Like you got to be sellers, right?
Yes,
and you can be sellers and be buyers at the same time. You got
Xavier Tillman
expiring. You can do both, but for the most part, you got to be sellers. And so I think for me, I do this trade. I think the Grizzlies do this trade, but I'm real hesitant that the Cavs do this trade. And if you made me choose, I would say that they would not do this deal. I don't think they're going to spend their assets on another big, especially with an expiring contract.
Just seems like a weird move on their part at this point.
Yep. It does seem like a weird move. Now, again, it's from Bobby Marks. It's just like a trade fodder suggestion, right? Like whatever. But he obviously knows way more than we do.
Yeah.
About the NBA and is way more connected than we are. So take that for what it's worth on the trade. So I would do it. You do it. The Grizzlies do it. I don't know about the Cavs. And that's kind of where we're at, I think. That's going to be it for our show today, guys. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. You can catch us right here on Bluff City Media YouTube page. Like I said, go subscribe.
1
so
o'clock.
You don't miss anything. 1 o'clock every day. We'll be back, hopefully talking about maybe a Grizzlies win. I doubt it, but either way, we'll be talking about something right here tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be talking about something no matter what. We'll see you then.